Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Smoking Weed and Talking MMA. My name is Jarrod. I am here with my co-host, Paul, who just took a very fat hit of some skunkberry, which is our weed of the week here today in Las Vegas. Now, skunkberry, if you've never had it, is a hybrid cannabis strain, and it's a cross of a couple really famous strains, skunk and blueberry. Both a couple indicas, both really fucking delicious.
Yeah,
and
super tasty.
Yeah, that's the thing about this particular strain, dude, is the way the two terpenes of the skunk and the terpenes from the blueberry mix together, they're really complementary. So you get that taste that is just like amazing. Personally, I like it better than just straight blueberry or straight skunk.
Yeah, it's got a good balance to it.
Yeah.
It's not too harsh.
And unlike a lot of like fruity weed, it doesn't taste orangey at all to me. Like there's no lemon, no orange. It's all like basically a berry taste, which is pretty dope. A lot of weed, it can be hard to get that flavor out of, you know. But that shows it's from a good grower as well, because when they get that flavor coming through, that's a sign that it's been cured well.
Yep.
I've got some other fucking goodies here today, Paul. We got some a couple cartridges for the vape pen, some Durban Poison, some Sour Diesel. We got some CBD tincture today, provided by our friends over at Experience Premium Cannabis. Now, Paul and I like to take this before the show. We mix it in with our smoking. A lot of people, you know, they take CBD, obviously for health reasons.
Yeah.
But another cool thing,
I take them at night. They help me put to sleep sometimes.
Yeah, I've read that. You've been doing a tincture at night because you got one from Experience as
yeah.
well, right? You got it's called like a good night tincture.
Yeah, something like that.
So
or no, mine's a breathe one. It
breathe
stops
one?
me from snoring.
Does it? So your girl got the good night, but you tried it. Right? You tried it. It was pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah,
Excellent.
I like it.
That's pretty dope. I've been liking this one as well. If you're not taking CBD like medicinally, you can use it to enhance your smoke sessions. Basically, when you get a good mixture of that CBD and THC together, it gives it kind of a synergistic effect. And this company is pretty cool because, like, you and I both went out there, Paul.
Yeah.
And it's a solventless extraction company. So this tincture's made with a solventless cannabis oil, MCT oil, and CBD isolate. So there's no additives. Like we were talking before the show about like what butane and propane being used to make shatter and things like that. And you know, some people get worried about the residue left behind there. This company doesn't have any of that shit. So that's pretty cool. I guess if you want to learn about Experience Premium Cannabis, you can Google it, or you can go to epclasvegas.com. If you're ever out here in Vegas, you're looking for a good tincture, it's one that we both use, and it's pretty dope.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, I'm going to hit this fat bong of this skunkberry right here, and we got all sorts of interesting announcements that have been made. We got an interesting weekend
Today,
we just went through. Lots of stuff going on in the fight game, despite not having any fights going on, right?
Yeah, so we kind of have a little break here till the 19th. Just to start the new year. But then we got some big news this morning. Turns out Jon Jones is going to step back in there on March 5th.
March 2nd.
March 2nd.
Yeah, March 2nd here
March
in Las
2nd,
Vegas.
Here in Las Vegas against Anthony Lionheart Smith, which that's a big step up for Lionheart. But
it's a big step up for Lionheart.
Jones,
it's a quick turnaround for Jones.
Yeah. But Jones did say he wants to fight 3 times in 2019.
He did, which he said he feels like he owes to the fans since he's been out for a while.
My question is here. So if this is a 7-year-long metabolite, are we going to go through this shit every fucking time he fights?
That's a solid question, and I guess that's the point that Daniel Cormier was trying to make when he asked if this is just something that Jon gets to have in his system all the time. It seemed to me like DC was trying to spin it like Jon can now take Turinabol and not fail for tests, which is stupid if you look into it.
It's stupid,
He's got short and long-term metabolites to drug use behind, and now he's in VADA as well, which he's getting tested every other day practically.
Here's my thing, though. I love Jon Jones, but honestly, where there's smoke, there's fire, and I understand where everyone's coming from, but at the same time, it's like it's fucking just gonna be annoying now.
I'm just tired of hearing about it. You have two choices when it comes down to Jon Jones, Paul. You got two choices, right? You can believe his story and what the experts have basically backed up. Everything Jon Jones has said is basically been backed up by the so-called experts, and I don't mean the UFC.
Here's the problem.
I mean
though.
USADA.
Here's the problem. All
or
that.
You choose to think he's a steroid cheat.
No, here's the thing. Yeah, all that's fine and dandy. I'm cool with that. But at one point in time, he somehow did take that steroid.
Or it was in a contaminated supplement that he took.
That my only
Or
problem.
it was in
my
some
only
cocaine
problem
that he was partying with.
My only problem with that is there would just have. Although no one would snitch, it would have to be something where somebody could provide something from that sample. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
Yeah, and Lord knows they tried to find everything. But that's basically what it boils down to. But
there's just always going to be this pushback.
there's going to be pushback from the haters, and John's giving them enough to hate on. Man,
Honestly,
if you hate
at this
Jon
point-
Jones, I get it, dude.
At this point, Jon Jones should just be like a heel, dude. He should just go after it.
He needs to
Fuck
stop with
it.
the Jesus stuff, in my opinion. I mean, if you're into Jesus, that's great and that's awesome, but it's hard
You're
to.
not.
He's quoting Bible verses on one hand, and then
Yeah.
talking
Test-
about
yeah.
I'm doing coke, and it's
Yeah,
just-
I mean, he did it. Even
It's an
Nowitzki
odd
said
mix.
that he had done recreational drugs inside the last year.
yeah, it's an odd look, it's an odd mixture. It's like you're trying to be the holy bad boy. It's kind of weird.
Strange.
All I give a crap about Paul is the fact that the man is stepping back inside the cage as long as he gets licensed by Nevada on March 2nd, right here in Vegas, and we're going to do our best to be there.
Yeah.
We're definitely going to be at the weigh-ins. Tickets, even for us locals.
Tickets are going to be rough
Might be a
because
little hard to
the
come
co-main
by.
event as well.
Yeah, because that's the other
It's
big announcement
huge.
we had this
Yeah.
morning. Is the co-main event is, who is it, Paul?
It's, Tyron Woodley is going to fight not Colby Covington like everyone thought. He's actually going to fight Kamaru Usman for the welterweight championship.
170-pound championship. Kamaru Usman, who we just saw live at the Palms here a few
Put on
weeks
a hell of a
back, put on
show.
a hell of a show, beating the ever-living crap out of Rafael Dos
Fuck him
Anjos.
up.
Yes. With the fan we have talked about before beside us screaming, "Fuck him up!" every 4
He was
seconds.
so wasted.
Being heard by everyone in the 3,000 filled auditorium. Crazy shit. But, dude, that's a dope fight, man. That's a dope card lining up right there. And I don't even know where that leaves Colby Covington, who was the
Leaves him without a
former
dance partner,
interim
man.
champ.
And then also, please don't forget that also another main card fight is going to be Ben Askren versus Robbie Lawler.
Another 170-pound fight. Robbie Lawler, teammate of Tyron Woodley's. Robbie Lawler. Ben Askren.
They were teammates.
Yeah,
at one point.
former teammate there.
Yeah.
And then Ben Askren, current teammates with Tyron Woodley. And, of course, if you don't know who
Tyron
he
Woodley's
is,
wrestling coach.
he's the former Bellator champion
Think
at
he
welterweight.
corners Tyron at the after his fight?
He's the former one championship. He's undefeated at welterweight.
Wouldn't that be such a Ben Askren thing to do though? If he were to just like, let's just say he just dominates, him, fucking Lawler early in
Yeah.
the night, and then just comes back and fucking corners Tyron.
I wouldn't be surprised if he does. That is exactly the
That is
kind of
such a
thing he
Ben
would do.
Askren thing to do right there.
But that's going to be a great card, man. Just those
Oh, yeah.
3 fights alone, I would buy. You could just give me those 3. I'll
Well,
buy
here's
that
the thing.
pay-per-view.
We were fucking talking about it before. We were just when it was just going to be Tyron Woodley versus Colby Covington. We were thinking maybe we could get some tickets, but
Right.
shit's going to sell out so quick this
Yeah,
time.
that's going to be pretty
With
instant
Jones on
and
there.
Likely
so
one of
hard.
the more pricier events around as well.
Well, the thing is, too, anytime Jon Jones or Conor McGregor's in town, all the cheaper tickets get swooped up so quick.
Absolutely. There's a big resale market here. Too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
It's on the DL, everybody.
Yeah.
Don't say nothing. Don't tell anybody.
Well, I mean, there's also a bunch of cool apps, though, that you can download and, like, scoop resale
Yeah,
tickets.
yeah.
So maybe we could do something like that.
Oh, well, let's definitely check into
We're
it.
definitely
So-
going to try to be on
Definitely be
on
on
the
the
site,
Definitely
yeah.
gonna go to the weigh-ins. That's one of the
Always.
cool things, of course, living here.
Yeah.
We can go to all that type of stuff, press
free.
conferences, weigh-ins.
yeah, like
We'll be right there sharing
they
cool things that happen.
what's
with
cool too is
all
now
of you
that
fine
they have
listeners.
that T-Mobile, they have that like T-Mobile Plaza where
Yeah.
you, like they have all kinds of cool UFC stuff too as well.
I like that too. That's pretty dope.
Yeah.
I'm excited about those fights, man. That's some pretty cool news to start off our day.
That's
here.
crazy. Those three fights are huge. I wonder what the rest of the card's gonna look like. You think they stacked that one like they did in December? Now that it honestly is kind of already stacked.
Yeah, I was gonna say it already is stacked. No matter who else gets added, I don't know how anybody could complain about that card. They could.
Wasn't that where Nick Diaz was supposed to fight too?
Yeah, Nick Diaz versus Jorge Masvidal
Was supposed to be on there though.
Yeah, no mas.
Damn, dude, Nick Diaz fucking leaving that money on the table then, son.
Nick don't
He
wanna
is
fight.
leaving.
I love Nick and Nate. I want to see those guys fight so fucking bad.
Nick
But-
does not look like he wants to fight anytime soon. You follow that fool on Instagram? It's rough.
He's not. Yeah.
Parties
he
every
definitely
night?
is partying like a motherfucker.
Every night?
And posting. That's just what he's posting.
Yeah, he's just
Who
fucking
knows?
kicking it.
Yeah, he's kicking it.
Partying every night. But that's how he's getting paid now, though. He
Living that
makes
Cali
these
high
club
life, and they're
appearances.
making those club appearances. Yeah.
And those dispensary appearances, too. So, I mean, he doesn't really need to fight. He's just like, what the fuck? I could just go party with a bunch of people and make 20 G's to fucking
Dude,
make
I'm
an
down with
appearance.
that.
you know?
I'd rather, honestly, as a human being, I'd rather Nick Diaz made his money that way instead of for fucking taking brain
I
damage
don't know.
for
He
my
fucking,
entertainment. dude.
he fucking,
like,
you can tell he still has the itch, though. Every time he
he's a
gets
fighter,
drunk
though,
and gets
man.
on Instagram, he starts like wrestling tournaments. It's fucking
all
in
ex-fighters.
his fucking
fucking
living
itch.
room, dude. Literally, though, Nate's coming back. Nate's in the gym every day.
Yeah,
So we
Nate's
know
looking
Nate's coming back.
huge.
Yeah.
He's looking very large.
I think that 65 division is perfect for him, man.
So
I
do
think
I.
once that opens up, I think a big fight for him is going to be his comeback.
I don't think a lot of people have realized how much Nate Diaz has filled out. They still got this image in him on their head of that scrawny kid from The Ultimate
Ooh.
Fighter. That's a large man. He is big. He's a big dude.
Totally off topic here. Totally off topic. I just had like a fucking
Big for
idea.
155, that is. Yeah.
Dude, on March 2nd, do you think they announce the opening of the 165 division where we have Tyrone Woodley and fucking Ben Askren on the same card? Both fighting guys who are like...
Actually, why they would put Askren and Woodley on there, because they're not going to fight each other.
Yeah.
Like, if Askren wins, he does not get a title shot against
way.
Woodley. If Woodley wins, it's never going to happen. They've come out and said it. So what's he going to do? What's his future unless he's being told, yeah, dude, don't worry, 165 is coming.
That'd be
total
huge,
sense.
dude.
Imagine Woodley wins, and then
Woodley
Askren
wins.
and they announce that they're creating that,
Yep.
and it's going to be Askren
Or,
versus
well,
somebody for
maybe
the
it's
title.
all,
That'd be dope.
maybe it's all contingent on Askren winning.
I'm going to hit this skunk.
Maybe it's one of those things that like maybe Dana comes out in the post fight presser and it's like, hey, we got a big, kind of like how he did with fucking Conor and Khabib, where he like has his whole thing and then he's like, hey, well, we just wanted
one
to
more thing at
announce,
the end,
yeah.
I could see it being dependent on him winning, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Dana's embraced Askren now, but that's still a relatively new phenomenon.
Because he called out Nate Diaz too. What if they do Nate Diaz versus Askren for the 165 belt? That'd be a big
think
fight.
about that, because that's dope. I'd love to see it, but dude, talk about a guy that's hard to get to the cage.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
You can't offer title fights to guys like that, unfortunately. Unless he puts another win together.
yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I want to see that, but I don't. Do you think Dana's going to offer that to Nate with their history?
He tried to.
I mean, I hope.
He
they
tried
fucking
to. He tried to
do,
give him
but-
that interim belt against fucking... or no, he tried to give him that welterweight belt versus Tyron, and fucking Nate turned it down.
Did he? I didn't hear about that. That's some shit.
Remember, it was like literally around the time they were going to do RDA versus Conor.
So I knew they were going to do RDA Conor for the
And they were going to do
interim
Nate...
welterweight
Yeah,
strap.
and they were going to do Nate
But then
Diaz
the bus
versus
attack
fucking...
happened.
Yeah.
That's why, just as a quick aside, why I get really annoyed when people say that the bus attack was like some coordinated effort between the UFC and a setup, is those are people that don't realize Conor had a massive fucking fight on the table against Rafael dos Anjos for a 170-pound title.
And he probably could have won that
That was
fight.
a done fucking deal that he could have won, and
Yeah.
he lost that shit because of the bus incident. So
That was dumb.
get the fuck out of here. The man is not throwing away a third title so he could go break a window at Khabib. It wasn't a fucking work. But that's neither here nor
Fuck
there.
that.
That's long past history. Dude, you know what else is going on in that 205 division right now in the UFC, which I'm actually pretty intrigued by, is Luke Rockhold, former 185-pound champion who struggles like a motherfucker to make that weight. He's not a small man. Dude, is moving up.
He's Jones's size.
Yeah, he's moving up to fight.
He doesn't have the jaw to fight at 205, dude.
See, that's the downside to him is he's been knocked out a plenty. He's a very skilled fighter, but
he's been knocked out in 2 of his last 3.
He's a fighter that Jones, who's not known for his power, might be able to just
right. 2 of his last 3, huh?
I'm pretty certain.
Unless he fought someone else, because I think he fought.
Look, he got slept by Bisping,
and then he beat David Branch.
And he came back and beat.
Then
David
he got
Branch.
slept by Yoel.
Then he got slept by Yoel. Yeah.
Damn.
So, yeah, he's been KO'd in 2 of his last 3.
But then before that, he was so fucking dominant.
Dude, he's so good, man. But
strange.
You know how MMA is. Shit turns
but
on
then
a
again,
dime,
don't get me
man.
wrong. A lot of people do move up and change, you know. Like RDA, when he moved up to 70, was a complete different fighter.
If it stays towards the trend in MMA, he'll move up to 205 and experience some really good success. I think he will.
I like
My
to see him
money's on
start out
having good success.
I'd like to see him start out with maybe a guy like maybe like a Volkan Ozdemir, maybe Thiago Santos after that last win.
You like to see him start up with somebody that high, not lower down the line, like I don't know.
Maybe OSP.
OSP was, I know he's scheduled here shortly, but
yeah, but OSP always like shifts around at like 7 to 10.
And he gets smoked.
He's not even. Yeah. I don't know, dude. It'd be maybe like a Tyson Pedro, maybe.
Tyson Pedro.
Or Shogun.
Shogun get his ass kicked.
Shogun just beat Pedro, dude.
I know. That was a hell of a good fight, but Luke Rockhold's not going to stand there and just wing a brawl with.
Yeah,
Shogun.
but that's the thing. You gotta get Rockhold moving.
He moves.
You gotta give him some confidence back.
When he doesn't get overconfident, though, overconfidence is that man's downfall.
Yeah.
That's why he got knocked the fuck out by Bisping.
But then
sticks his chin out. He does
but then again, he also sometimes that confidence puts together great performances as well. Though, because then you look at when he fought Bisping the first time, he was just as confident and just as much shit talk as the second time was the first time, and he whooped Bisping's ass the first time. Like, it's all about his patience. When he sits back and he's patient and he lets the fight play out and picks his spots, he's fucking terrific. Because
look at that whooping he put on Weidman.
Weidman, yeah, dude.
When he gets on top,
that's a perfect example. Weidman had parts of that fight where Weidman was pushing the pace and Rockhold was just kind of stepping on the outside, slipping punches, trying not to get hit. But then as soon as Weidman was like couldn't figure him out and he tried to switch his up, he noticed all of Weidman's holes and went after him. That's what he needs to do to get back to where he was. You know what I'm saying? Just because he has great physical attributes and he has great technique. He just needs to get his timing down.
Yeah. I'm excited for him at 205, though. I think it's starting to add a little bit of lifeblood to the
What if you give him Dominic Reyes? Ooh. They were talking about Gustafsson and him fighting. Because remember, they were scheduled. They were scheduled to fight before They were already scheduled to fight, and they had to back out.
I don't think that's a good matchup. I don't like that for Gustafsson at all.
Well, Gustafsson might be on the shelf for a minute now.
Gustafsson needs a fight he can come out and win, and he doesn't need a fight where he beats somebody that people suddenly start saying, "Oh, maybe we should have him fight Jon Jones again." He needs to go out and have a few fights. That's always going to happen, though. He needs to go out and have a few fights against some lower-level guys and string some wins together, just in my opinion. What the fuck do I know? But I'm just saying, I don't want to see him fight like a number one contender fight. I want to see
there's just only so many fights for him there.
I want to see Luke Rockhold, Jon Jones eventually, if we could get to that, though. I think that'd be a fun fight.
Oh, then I would bring the DC aspect in and shit, too.
Yeah, you got the DC, you got the insider knowledge. Blah, blah, blah.
Strange
it would be
thing.
fun.
I know we didn't talk about this at all before, but I just wanted to bring this up real quick. I was reading on MMAfighting.com their pick expectations of the new year. I can't remember who the reporter was, but one of them put that Cain Velasquez will be heavyweight champion of the world by the end of 2019.
I saw that prediction as well. I don't think that is a remote possibility. I don't.
Like,
Cain's
even close?
No, I don't. I just don't. I know that that's the dream of Cain fans and AKA fans and DC supporters, etc. As the DC hands the mantle back to Cain and all is right in the world. But look, dude, Cain's hurt all the time, man. That dude, I know he's had 2 years off. He's like, oh, it's a luxury. And if you remember before his last comeback, he's talking about how great he felt too. I mean,
He's looked great though in that fight. He starched Travis Brown.
Travis Brown that had been off to see Ronda Rousey's old coach, Edmund Tarberdian, and just got destroyed.
Yeah, but that was before
destroyed from the potential he had.
Yeah, but
like, I mean, yeah, I'm not knocking it. He still beat Travis Brown, but that's not like the Travis Brown for when Travis Brown was something. That was the Travis Brown after he fucking lost all his mojo. And remember when Travis Brown was like the Dominic Cruz of the heavyweight division? He'd be bouncing all around doing crazy shit, and then he fucking hooked up with Ronda and went over to Tarverdian and just like got the curse of the terrible coach. And look,
good point.
So I mean, I'm just saying that he did look good. I mean, Cain did a fucking spinning wheel kick to Travis Brown's head. You can't take that away from him. I mean, that's at high athletic ability. Cain's a bad motherfucker. I'm not knocking that. I don't think he's going to be champ. I don't think he's got 3 fights left in his body. Maybe not even 1. When Cain shows up and makes weight and wins and gets through a fight and he's not injured, I'll reassess some things. And I'm not saying that to be an asshole. That's just truth, man.
So
God bless him and his poor back.
Let's say he goes out and puts on a performance like Stipe did against Ngannou.
Yeah.
How does that change your mind?
And he gets out of it and he's not injured and we don't hear that like he's going to be out for 6 months.
Let's say he gets out of it. Let's say he gets out of it. He says, "I feel great. We'll see how I feel in the field tomorrow, but fucking, I'm ready to go."
Then what? Throw him in a title fight?
Throw him in a title fight after DC relinquishes the belt, maybe against Stipe Miocic.
I mean, Ngannou's pretty much tailor-made for a Cain Velasquez comeback. If he can avoid those big hands, the guy's wrestling is very suspect. And
But then again,
how did Stipe beat him with his wrestling?
He also could end up being the first man to ever get knocked out on the beginning of 2 different TV
he could get
eras.
Dos Santos again. That'd be unfortunate.
Dude, how unfortunate would that be? The first Fox card ever KO'd. First ESPN Plus or ESPN card ever.
Can you imagine? KO'd. That would be a terrible.
That's the first one on real ESPN.
I hope we're not.
Right?
Honestly, I hope we're not talking about that a few months from now.
Right? That's the first one on real ESPN.
Yeah, that's the first card on real ESPN. We have 3 on ESPN Plus, to the best of my knowledge, leading up, starting on the 19th, and then we've got subsequent weeks after that, and then we've got the.
I gotta
ESPN
download Plus.
Yeah, me too, dude. I haven't bought Plus.
There's some great shows on there too. I heard.
I know Ariel's show is on.
Ariel's show's on there. There's good like other sports shows too. Like there's a LeBron James has like a conversational like piece kind of show.
Yeah, I've heard they guys sit around and discuss things.
Yeah, like all kinds of political shit sometimes, but
shit we avoid here.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's LeBron James, so he's like he can do whatever the fuck he wants.
No, we're just smoking weed and talking combat sports. We keep it simple and lighthearted.
That's what I'm worried about.
Like that skunk berry, dude.
That's what I'm worried about, kind of with the ESPN era. Wonder how much will be driven into. Like, I just wonder how the fan base is going to evolve now.
You mean like as far as political shit, or as far as just like the casuals, like growing? Is it going to shrink? Is it going to grow? Is it
across the board? Because now we're talking about people are going to want to know more about these guys. You know what I'm saying? And there's maybe someone like, I don't know. I don't even want to talk shit right now, but someone like Khabib who's got bullshit in his past. Like, I wonder if
he's able to
those
fly
things
under
will
the radar
start.
with
Yeah.
a lot of things going on. We're not trying to stir up Khabib problems.
Well, here's the thing, though. Like
he's been doing things
ESPN,
in the past few months that have got major play.
ESPN's a network that will push the issue.
That they've shown.
They will push the issue when it comes to your outside life, drug testing,
Crazy statements you make.
videos
outside.
online of you. Yeah, crazy statements. Let's say those statements of them after the octagons. People say some stupid shit sometimes. That's going to be out there for everyone to see.
ESPN's really PC, man. There's a lot of guys in MMA that are not PC. I mean,
well,
he was just talking about
this is my point.
Crazy shit.
This is my point. Let's say our first ESPN. Let's say the first ESPN Plus card builds the plus one builds a following, builds a following, and we're gonna get this huge viewership on the first ESPN card.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe some stupid shit goes down, or
Somebody
none of that matters. What happens that night? Here's my point. The next morning, Mike and Mike are gonna talk about that event. First Take's gonna talk about that event. Get Up is gonna talk about that event. Every single show throughout the day has a slot where they need to talk about that, because every broadcast ESPN show, sporting event, and I don't know, award show, everything is automatically part of the next day's slate, no matter the show. Because when you're on ESPN, it used to be, oh, here's basketball analyst, this guy, this guy, and this guy. Oh, here's football analyst, this guy, this guy, and this guy. When you're on Sports Center and shit like that, it's a mixture of all the people. And although Ariel and Chael are now on ESPN, they are not going to be the majority of people talking about MMA on ESPN now. Stephen A. Smith, Max Kellerman, all those guys. Mike and Mike's not even, it's like Golick and Wingo or some bullshit, I don't know.
Yeah.
All those guys are now going to be talking, although they've had a little bit in the past, like through the Fox era, a little bit, but it's still been more of a rogue
appearances.
Sport. Now it's an ESPN promoted, this is ESPN.
On ESPN, they're going to push that shit.
So I wonder how the narrative is going to change about different guys. You ever think about that? Just because, think about guys in the past, like crazy motherfuckers. There's been some crazy stories, bro. Some crazy stories.
Flies under the radar if you're not deep in the scene like we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that should be interesting.
You know what I'm saying? I wonder.
Times ahead of us.
I wonder how that's going to change the landscape of the sport.
Yeah, because ESPN, one thing that they've definitely shown is they're not afraid to wade into some controversial topics.
Perfect example is Josh Gordon. Have you followed Josh Gordon at all in the last
race car driver?
No, Josh Gordon, the wide receiver for the Browns, who's fucking pretty much his career's over because of marijuana, pretty much, because he and alcohol. He's literally failed every single test he pretty much took in the NFL, and has been, I think he's failed 6 different tests for weed, and I think 3 with alcohol in his system also. He just has like super.
Damn, there's no excuse for that alcohol. That's a matter of hours for God's sake.
So
But damn, he fucked himself on some weed.
Dude,
okay.
It's rough, man. His whole career's been thrown away now, and so this is my example though. So constantly, Stephen A. Smith has it like famous that he comes on the show, and every time he talks about Josh Gordon, he goes, "Stay off the weed."
Oh, I see.
Everyone's seen it. So my point is, now that we're talking about all these guys and USADA's in there, and these guys are going to be popping for tests and shit like that, that's going to be on ESPN now. That's not going to be some bullshit that only a few people going to see on TMZ or fucking MMA fighting or Bloody Elbow, which sorry to all those people, but I'm sorry. Casual fans don't fucking look at that shit. People are casually on ESPN all the time.
Yeah.
No one's casually on MMAfighting.com.
And mixed martial arts will provide
no offense
a lot
to
of
them,
those fucking storylines.
but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, or UFC.
Yeah.
That should be interesting. You're right. I hadn't stopped to think about that. Could be a fascinating 2019 for more than just
Or now,
the sporting on
just
ESPN.
think about Conor McGregor. Imagine if all that Conor McGregor shit was going down and ESPN was the broadcaster of everything UFC. Although they did cover that like hell, it would have been even crazier because then they would have had everybody on scene. You know what I mean?
We're about to see, man.
Just think about how the NFL is broadcasted through ESPN. You wake up and you watch ESPN, you watch any NFL show. They go, okay, we're talking about these teams today. And every single time they talk about a team, they have like a reporter on site at the team facility, 2 reporters at the practices, at the press conference and stuff. So now these media days that were, just these small MMA articles, now they're going to be covered by legit analysts hired through ESPN.
Yeah, like look at the media pool that was at the Tough finale that we went to.
I mean,
we were there on. Both.
There was literally like 5 people.
Yeah, we were there for the weigh-ins.
They were so low, they were letting people in. They were letting fans
into the media area. Yeah. By the time it started, because
it's just so small.
There was literally like 5 people there.
I mean, also there was a fucking much better fight that weekend, and then
this is true. I mean, there's a lot of extenuating circumstances, but that's not the first thing.
It was either Australia or Vegas, so it was
It's not the first thing I've been to that hasn't had much of a media pool outside the hardcore MMA.
But then look at the fight like Khabib and Conor. Yeah. That had like the biggest. That had like the biggest like media fucking. That was like a media extravaganza, dude. It was nuts.
Well, it's definitely going to be some crazy shit coming up here on the ESPN thing. It's something we're going to get to talk about a lot more.
It's great though too, because then also
it's good.
The good part of it as well is now think about top plays and shit like that. There's going to be fighting every week in that thing. You know what I'm saying? We're talking 20 straight weeks of fights are about to come up. Yeah, we have this like 2.5, 3 week layoff, but we're about to go 20 straight weeks of fights.
Yep.
All on ESPN. That's why I think they did this, is to create that culture behind the sport. Because a lot of people watch it, like people go, but not a lot of people go out of their way to watch it. So now people don't have to go out of their way to watch it.
No, they'll just turn on
It's
ESPN
just part of their naturally, their
Yeah.
normal daily scheduled bullshit they watch on ESPN anyways, you know? But now you throw all that shit in there too, it's going to bring a lot more people to stop looking at it like just like straight up street fights. A lot of people still do that. I hate that.
No, it's a sad thing.
It's very strange. It's very strange.
John McCain's human cockfighting line.
Boxing doesn't get that same stigma, which is strange.
Sport, for goodness sakes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
fighting is a fucking. Fighting is the most purest. It's most purest like essence of combat you could ever have. You know, like
purest combat. Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
It's crazy. It's crazy what these guys are doing and what these guys are putting on the line every time they step in the octagon. And now they're really going to be able to get paid like they should, because now a lot more people's eyes are going to be on them.
I hope so. I hope that.
I think that was the smartest thing ever TJ Dillashaw and Henry Cejudo ever did, was to switch from that pay-per-view that was the same weekend as Fedor and Bader, because that's more of like a freak show fight that people love to watch Fedor, and switch to that first ESPN card.
ESPN Plus card.
Because ESPN Plus, that first card is going to be huge. It's going to be advertised through the freaking everything. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna pull out all the stops.
Well, I hope so, because these fighters need to get paid more. And folks, if you're listening and you don't know what we're talking about, there's no fighters union for MMA. There's no union in the UFC. These are independent contractors. Outside of the top superstars in the sport, these guys don't make shit. Even now. Even right now.
That's a problem that
they
needs to be addressed.
They got a shitty sponsorship deal with the UFC where they don't make shit for wearing that Reebok gear. And that's coming up, isn't it? Wasn't it a 7-year deal just like the Fox deal? Wasn't it signed in relatively the same amount of the same era?
Yeah, but that was in 2012.
Was it 2012? So it's next year, Reebok, 2 more years?
Yeah, because that was signed the same weekend. They remember they debuted it the weekend of Chad Mendes versus Conor McGregor.
Yeah, that's right. They did.
That's when it debuted. And that was 2011 or 2012.
It was 2012. Yeah.
Oh wait, no, it might have been 2013.
Yeah, what am I saying? It wasn't 2012. It was 2013. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So, man, we got a minute.
No,
still.
wait, that might have been 2014 actually.
No, wait, we've been smoking marijuana.
Yeah, that's actually that was fucking 2014, dude. That might have been even 2015. I don't know.
Well, we should stop debating.
I'm fucking looking that up now.
I know. I say we have smartphones right at our fingertips here. You should look that up,
dude. We fucking
because this Reebok deal is. It doesn't get the press that it used to get when these fighters aren't getting paid much, but there's still guys getting like $5,000 for wearing Reebok. Even the top tier guys, they're getting $10,000-$15,000. It's a sad day still. They need to do something to fix it. No one wants to talk about it anymore. I guess it's played out, but if that deal comes up, I hope that they don't renew it, or that somehow, some way, these guys can get some sort of collective bargaining, unionized thing going on.
Yeah.
What'd you find? You got it?
Nope.
Well.
Yeah, just keep it moving. I'll find it.
You'll find it. Fuck it. Either way, my hope ultimately with that is Reebok goes the way of Fox and is gone.
Yeah.
I doubt they'll take it back to regular sponsors, but damn, maybe we can get something better with some more money. The UFC's heard a lot of pushback on that, but we'll see. Swinging back around to some fights that are coming up, we had yet another, not really an announcement yet, but we had two fighters going back and forth on social media that have accepted each other's challenges, which I find very interesting, and that would be Anthony Pettis, who's the former 155-pound champ, who's also fought, which I did not support, at 145, which I found scary. I've met Anthony a couple times. He's not a small person.
Yeah.
That weight cut is traumatic, it seemed. And considering that he's bouncing back out of there and said he was never going to do that again, I like that. But now he's talking about moving up to 170 and fighting Stephen Wonderboy Thompson at welterweight. Thompson accepts his call out on social media. What do you think of that, Paul?
I think that's weird, because why is Anthony Pettis fighting at fucking welterweight when he fought at featherweight 2 fights ago?
Well, featherweight was a tremendous strain on his body, and he's getting older. He's over 30. You get heavier when you get older, and sometimes you just want to pack on a little bit more muscle and not deal with the fucking weight cut, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
You know? And he's probably, honestly, Paul, he's probably got his sights ultimately set on the 165.
2015, July 11th,
Oh, you finally found it was July 2015?
Oh, God.
You can't trust a couple of fucking stoners with some dates from 4 years ago.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, he's probably got his eyes on that 165-pound division, too, so he's talking about taking a fight maybe at welterweight or some noise and, focusing up there. I could see that as well. I think he's 5'11", if I remember right.
That's crazy, though. He needs to put on some muscle, then. He can't just move up.
He's got a frame for it. He's wide. He can pack on some pounds and still retain his speed if he doesn't go.
I just don't know if he retains that power though to put anybody down.
Point to Chiesa. I mean, Chiesa's a bit taller than him, but
I think he would.
See how much weight Chiesa had put on?
Here's the thing. I think this fight, for him to be successful, would need to go to the ground.
Yeah, I don't think he wants to stand there because Wonderboy is bigger. He's 6'1". He's fought at, I think, 185, if I'm not mistaken, in the past at some point.
Yeah.
If not, he's a big welterweight. But again, look at the champ at 170. While he's extremely thick and muscular, he's only 5'9". Tyron Woodley. I mean,
Tyron Woodley's a fucking.
Pettis is bigger than Woodley height-wise.
Tyron Woodley is fucking an action figure, though. Like,
yeah, he's very thick.
Yeah,
extremely muscular while retaining that speed. Like somebody like Pettis can't bulk up to that comparable size.
No way.
He doesn't need to.
No fucking way. Yeah, I don't even think he necessarily needs a fight at welterweight. I think this is just an interesting fight for him because he knows his career is kind of starting to wind down.
And it makes 165 an open. I mean, if he comes up, and even if he's competitive against Wonderboy and loses,
yeah,
I don't think it takes any shine off the 165. It actually would reinforce that you should be a 165.
Well, let's say he puts on a good performance and just comes up short. Then it's really not that big of a deal. It's just kind of, like I said, a fun fight.
Right. So I'm down with it. I'd like to see it. I don't know if a permanent move to 170s in the cards.
I don't think so.
My opinion is this is a play at 165.
But also, then again, he does train with Woodley also. So
no, this is true. This is true. But We've got some fights on the horizon coming up outside of the UFC. We've talked a lot about the UFC on today's show, but we got some shit in Bellator coming up in about 2 weeks, which is a pretty big card where we've got the finals of the heavyweight Grand Prix, which we've talked about frequently on the show. And if anybody's not aware or forgotten, because it's been a minute, we've got Fedor Emelianenko versus
Ryan Bader.
Ryan Bader, who is the current light heavyweight champion.
Trying to become a champ.
Oh, dude. Become the champ.
You want to hear a funny fucking thing I heard yesterday?
Yes.
Did you know that Conor McGregor fucking trademarked the term champ? People try to use that shit. Watch yourself. That shit is technically trademarked.
Is that true? Wow.
That is what Chael Sonnen said on his podcast.
Oh, Chael knows about that shit.
He said it is trademarked.
I would believe it.
He said it is trademarked, like Conor McGregor. Champ.
Conor's smart business.
The UFC probably, I bet you he gets a little chunk of change for the UFC.
They might actually be paying him.
Champ. I wouldn't be surprised.
He could quietly arrange that behind the scenes without anybody knowing shit.
Just collecting a monthly check.
Like, look, I have actually got a legal trademark on this phrase y'all keep throwing around.
Yeah,
so champ. Go ahead and just keep that on the DL, and you can pay me my check every fucking month. I wouldn't be surprised at that at all.
Right?
Conor's smart, man.
That's
Conor's
crazy.
A businessman.
I heard that, but it was at like 1:30 a.m. and
That's dope.
I was like, fuck, probably shouldn't call Jarrod at 1:30 a.m.
I appreciate that as well. I appreciate that as well. But dude, Ryan Bader, the wanted, what are we gonna call it? The dual champ. Then they'll have to say dual.
The
champ.
dual.
It can't be champ.
Double champ.
The double champ. That'd be funny if you start noticing in the UFC saying double champ instead of champ.
Yeah, double champ. DC double champ.
If you get, I wouldn't be surprised at all if that's why.
And then Jon Jones comes out and says Conor's the real champ.
Yeah, he did.
He did say that.
Well, he's not wrong. Amanda Nunes is a champ.
No, she's that.
Dude, that's what I want to talk about her right now for a second. Actually, before we get into Ryan Bader and Fedor, before we finish up with the UFC, I want to talk about Amanda Nunes. What do you think is next for her?
The Hall of Fame.
45-pound. I know her dream is going to come true. She said the Hall of Fame. That was so funny.
I already told you, dude. Holly Holm.
If you don't know what my co-host there is referring to, folks, Dana went and asked her, "What is it that you want now that you're the champ?" And her big thing that she wanted, or it was Rogan.
Yeah, it was Rogan. Octagon.
Yeah, she said she just wants to make sure she gets in the Hall of Fame.
And Rogan started laughing at her. He's like, "I think you got it."
You were there beforehand already, after beating Miesha Tate and Ronda. But what do you think?
I think the winner of Aspen Ladd and Holly Holm.
No, I don't mean what's next for her necessarily in a fight. But do you think she's going to retain both belts? Do you think that 145-pound division?
I think 145 might go away.
Do you think they might leave it with like?
Dude,
it's not even on the website right now. If you go to UFC.com, there's no division. There's no 145 on there right now.
It has the least amount of active fighters signed to a contract in the UFC.
Cyborg, either I've heard mixed reports. Either she has one fight left.
Yeah, or
her contract expires in March. I've heard both of these things, with or without a fight. Like if she doesn't get that fight, then the contract's expiring either way.
Well, no, I heard that was her last fight.
Yes, yeah, I've heard that as well. So I've heard both. I heard she has one more fight, and the contract is expiring, and that was her last fight.
Yeah,
but either way,
that could be a negotiating tactic as well.
Yeah,
she could be telling people mixed shit, just to see if the UFC wants to keep her around.
Dana doesn't sound like he wants to give her a shot at a rematch. Nunes just came out and said that Cyborg will go ahead and wait 2 years for a rematch. She straight said that. She was like, "Yeah, you can wait 2 years." So
it's a long fucking time when you're Cyborg,
right?
You know what? We brought up this is another Chael thing I heard earlier. He brought up a strange opportunity. Is what if she were to go to a place like PFL? She'd be like perfect, 'cause she could be like their villain, like she's the one you meet for $1 million. You know what I mean?
I read some shit on the PFL today. Do you follow Mike Russell, MMA journalist, at all? Man, I don't want to get real into it, but that place is. I must have been a supporter of the PFL and what they're doing, and then I read some investigative journalism that's come out between Khabib's manager, Ali Abdul Aziz, Ray Sifo, because they used to control the WSOF.
Yeah.
And then they got sued, and that's why it mainly got sold. They got sued for a bunch of different things that are still going on. But there's like a major conflict of interest, basically, where like Ali is close to 33 or 30% of their entire roster.
Uh-huh.
And in this tournament,
he
had his own fighters fighting his own fighters so often that he himself, on the night of the Grand Prix, he made $500,000 as a manager that night. In perspective, his salary
isn't he a matchmaker
at the World
too?
Series of Fighting, where he was a matchmaker as well and a fight manager, which led to all sorts of accusations as well. He only got paid $100K for that. So there's a major conflict of interest for a manager.
Here's the problem with
for
that,
a one fight promotion to have 30% of your roster.
No, here's
and then be having fighter versus fighter.
Yeah, I get that. I get that.
It's crazy.
But here's my only problem with that. That model doesn't make sense in the PFL because the PFL is a fight league and your fighters have to win a certain amount of fights. Although he can manage 30%, I understand what you're saying. Like there's a conflict of interest because he does manage.
I have
those.
To look into it more. I don't know all the details.
I get what you're saying, but just hear me out here real quick. Hear me out. So yeah, he does manage 31% or whatever you said. Let's say he manages probably around 25% of the UFC as well. Although he's not connected with the UFC.
There's way more fighters on the UFC.
Well, yeah, no, but I'm talking about the main guys at least. But yeah. So although he's connected with the PFL, the only problem with that is if this was a UFC, that makes sense because the UFC you're fighting once, twice a year against certain guys. That would make sense. But in the PFL, you have to win certain fights to make the playoff. And then the playoff goes to a championship.
So you're saying the structure in the tournament.
The structure of it,
format.
yeah, the structure of it kind of defeats that because although your matchmaking can be favorable, it doesn't matter because you still have to win fights and you still have to fight everybody when it comes to pretty much a playoff system.
No, that's interesting. I don't know much more. I just today was a big news day. We had all these fights.
Yeah, there's a lot of
news. And I just stumbled into this story here this morning. You see
what I'm saying, though?
But yeah. I see that is a valid point, and I'd like to see what these guys reporting on it have to say. And folks listening, if you want to know more about what we're talking about, just go to Twitter and look up, I think it's Mike Russell MMA. He's an investigative MMA journalist, and you'll see some tweets on there. There's another guy doing the main reporting on this, but he's getting retweeted. It's interesting nonetheless.
Yeah,
without taking
no, don't get me wrong. Yeah,
who's right or who's wrong.
Don't get me wrong. There's something fishy going on there, but at the same time, because it is like an NFL. Let's say this was the NFL.
No, I see that point. That makes sense.
You know what I'm saying?
What you're saying, yeah.
Like there's still divisions, and you still have to fight people. It doesn't matter who's in the division. You still have to fight, and you still have to fight the main guys at the big show. You can't fake it till you make it in the NFL. You know what I'm saying? Mm. You have to be actually good to win it, the whole thing. Like, yeah, people can put on performances and shaky like moments and shit like that. That makes sense. But it doesn't matter how the matchmaking is. It can be as favorable as you want, but at the end, you still have to fight somebody in the final. You know what I'm saying?
I got it. Well, I'm going to look more into that myself as well.
But and I know all of Diaz has been around some shady shit in the past, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Dude, what is it about combat sports in general? Just attracts some shady managers and promoters. Like, and I don't just mean MMA. I mean, look at boxing, Don King. I mean, there's story after story, and then there's all the people we don't hear about on the lower fucking levels.
Yeah,
where the guys aren't making the big money and they're still getting skimmed. You know what I mean? And then I'm sure somewhere mixed in there are some great guys who are just out there fucking promoting fights and doing shit. You know, they're not all shady pieces of shit. I mean, there certainly seems to be some good shit. Like, I don't know a whole lot about him, but the stuff I've seen from, like, Mac the Knife and some of these other boxing guys certainly seems to be a lot more legit than it was back in the fucking 90s and the early 2000s. But, you know, it is what it is. But Ali certainly has a lot of shady shit around him.
See, you know what the only problem is? Is, like, just like boxing, what we're talking here is he's the promoter and the manager at the same time. You know what I'm saying? You can't be my manager and my promoter.
Yeah,
because
it seems on these smaller promotions inside the UFC.
Yeah. Like, exactly. That's kind of the problem with Dana in the beginning. Remember when Dana was fucking managing Tito and Chuck and shit, and everyone was kind of like, oh, whoa, that's shady.
Yeah,
and then
you
he
had to stop
stopped
all
because
that,
because people are like, hey, man, that's kind of, that's,
It's just at the
that's not
very least, it's a bad look.
yeah, because then it makes it seem like, okay, man, we're going to get you shot to the title. You know what I mean? We're going to fight all these chumps, and then we're going to give you a good shot at the title. But you can't do that in the PFL because it's a playoff structure.
But that very playoff structure also seems to have led to him making an incredible amount of money in one night as a manager. I mean, I don't know whether to applaud that as an entrepreneur or find that sad that a manager can somehow have that work out to his favor where he gets more than like any of those losing fighters got. I mean, yeah, there were some guys won $1 million, and everybody that lost got shit. They didn't get shit with their little salary from the PFL.
Not even the people who lost got $250K. That's a lot of fucking money. We're talking fights, dude. Fucking Kevin Lee made $83,000 last weekend.
I didn't know that. I didn't know they got $250K. I thought they only got the salary. Because I know the PFL pays the monthly stipend and all that.
No,
stuff.
the loser of the final gets $250.
Oh, that's not bad. I can't complain about that.
That's at least what Justin Wren said on Rogan.
That's probably where all that added up then, because if he had losing fighters, if he's getting 10% on that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like I said, I'm not hating on somebody making money. It's just
here's the problem with
it's weird. It just seems borderline shady. Like Don King making all that fucking money back then off Tyson.
Yeah, but you got to think on those cards like Khabib and Conor, and those cards with like where not only Ali but Conor's manager as well had him, Tony. I think he had 4 other fighters on the undercard. Ali had everybody else. Yeah. So those guys are probably making around that same amount of money every large card.
Nobody's just talking about it.
You know what I'm saying? And people are just talking about it because there's a connection with the organization.
And people love conspiracy theories in mixed martial arts. And to be completely fair,
and I don't know, there could be some shady shit, but I'm just looking at it with some optimism that there's not shady shit, but there could be for sure.
And like I said, to be fair, all of the people that he manages really seem to like that guy. For all the people that seem to hate on him,
and and a lot of the people that he manages seem to be up at the top at fighting for belts and shit. He fucking manages Henry Cejudo, Cody Garbrandt, fucking the list goes. Kevin Gastelum, like the list goes on.
They have some Dominance MMA. That's his company. Contracts online right now. These guys, these journalists doing this. I mean, you think a UFC contract is bad? But the thing is I don't know if that's a legit contract or not. But you want to talk about, they own the fighters' rights, the likeness in perpetuity. Dominance MMA.
What? Ali's thing?
Ali's management company.
Oh, really?
This is crazy contract. But like I said, it could be bullshit. It could be these guys could have made that shit up. So I'm not trying to.
Yeah, but at the same time, there could be fighters. I bet you
claiming to be journalists out there dropping these things that are like.
Well, at the same time, those could be lower level contracts where guys are, not fighting the big show. There's no way he's fucking charging that to like Henry Cejudo.
Dude, I read this excerpt from it today. It was like your face, your likeness, your name. Like we retain the rights to use that in anything forever. You get nothing. Kind of like how the UFC,
kind of like WWE does.
If you don't know the UFC video game, do you know how much the fighters get paid off of that? Everybody, zero, nothing.
Really?
They get
I didn't even know that.
Nothing.
Really?
It's worded in the UFC contracts that the UFC gets to do the same thing. The problem is UFC.
That must be why they don't. There's only select fighters in that game, and when someone's big, it takes them a long time to put them in. Like they got to be really fucking big to end up in that game. It took them like Sean O'Malley just got in the game the week that Conor fight happened, and Adesanya just got in the game that week.
It bums me out seeing these guys ask to get put in the game because I mean I get it because it's cool. But literally, you're not getting any money. You should be getting fucking paid. Motherfuckers are. I can't imagine
the NBA players get paid that much to be in those games.
But they get something. Yeah, but they get something, and you know what that something was? It was
negotiated. Well, here's the thing.
Union.
You know what? You know where this all breaks down to too. Well, somewhere I can compare it to is when they were making the NCAA football games. Those ended up getting shut down because obviously NCAA rules.
Well, that is different rules when it comes to getting paid and stuff. But
that's what I'm saying.
NBA
like
and the NFL and these video games.
That's the only other game I can think of people are getting aren't getting paid for. Is what I'm saying.
But the difference with the NFL is whatever it is, that shit was agreed upon by the union, by the players' reps, and everybody was like, okay, cool.
Well, yeah. If you look on the Madden game, it's certified by the players' union.
Yeah. So see, and the UFC says no, we're going to take your likeness and we're going to fucking sell it to EA Sports and they're going to put out a game. And then at some point, you're just going to beg us to be put in the fucking game.
Yeah.
I think that sucks. I get
Bruce
it.
Lee's
Fighters
in
think
the
it's cool. I get it. That's fucking dope. I'm not knocking on you for wanting to be in the game. I just think y'all should get paid.
You know who did get paid by that game, though? Fucking Conor McGregor.
Yeah, Conor worked out a separate endorsement deal from EA Sports.
Yeah.
See, that's a different subject. Yeah.
Conor fucking
Like,
cashed
his likeness
out.
would have been in there.
Not only, and then he recashed out this year after the game had already been out for a year.
That's just
so
the
he,
smartness of McGregor's business.
yeah.
Right
So
there.
he fucking, so then he fucking did his contract, and they re-released an expansion package for the game that came with Sean O'Malley, Israel Adesanya, different version of Conor McGregor, like old school Vanderlei Silva and old school Anderson Silva, and then like it was like the Conor Notorious like version of the game, and it was like a $15 or $25 expansion pack. So I'm guessing he probably cashed out on that too, because everybody did that expansion pack.
Yeah.
Well, and then
I bet they
also
did.
a lot of people, like if you had the deluxe version of the game, which means you fucking paid extra for the game in the first place, you automatically got that. So Conor probably made so much money, has made so much money off that game. Just that
Conor's a
endorsement deal.
shining example. I don't care if you hate him or whatever.
Yeah,
If
he
you're
knows
a
what he's
fighter,
doing.
You should be paying attention to how this kid is making fucking money.
Yeah.
Man. You
Well,
should
look
be
at
paying
Tyron
full
Woodley.
loads
Tyron
attention.
Woodley looked at how Conor was doing it. He
he's
stepped
been
in there.
doing
He's
a
like,
lot.
oh, yeah. Let's
He's got
go.
the show on TMZ rocking.
TMZ,
He's
yep.
real careful about his contracts and his
Or look at
negotiations.
Demetrius Johnson. Demetrius Johnson with his video game, or same thing with Sean O'Malley too. Sean O'Malley said he makes about $6,000 a month just playing video games.
Dude, I read that. That's amazing.
$6,000 a month. That's pretty solid.
I look back and I go, why the fuck did I quit playing video games?
I'm never gonna stop now.
I got too much other shit going on though these days.
Dude.
But yeah, it's dope, and I just want to see
I'm
these
just
guys
glad.
make money, man.
Yeah, I'm glad.
That's ultimately.
And that's what I'm saying. A lot of this, that's could be a story that ESPN does. You know, a lot of those ESPN Sports Center specials where they go
could
in
be.
and they talk to a football player's whole family and all this shit. They could do that same thing with the UFC, and they go maybe to Sean O'Malley and they see him, playing video games all the time. They turn that into an E60 story. You know what I'm saying? How fighters are doing stuff outside of fighting, or there's so many different stories. Or
I really
even
hope so,
Stipe
man.
Miocic, man. Imagine
Stipe's such a great
they could
story.
run that fucking fireman story to the bank for E60.
I know. I mean, the best people using that fireman story right now is fucking Modelo
Modelo,
beer. That commercial's awesome, and they still run it without him being a champ too. They just altered it a little
it's just
bit.
funny. It's
a little
funny.
funny if you've seen
It's
it
funny if
before,
you've seen
yeah.
the championship one, because it's just like you see the part where he wins the championship in the fucking ring, and then in the new one it's just like he just wins.
But good on Stipe. He's still getting paid for them. He's still getting paid from Modelo. So
Yeah.
word, I'm
Well,
down.
that's another example. Is Modelo is a sponsor of the UFC, but because he was champion, he turned that into a separate
Yeah,
sponsorship.
so these guys can get these separate deals.
Yeah.
If you have managed to do that with Reebok.
And Monster Energy too. Remember,
Monster.
Ronda did it with Monster. Jon
Conor did it with
Jones,
Monster.
Connor. There's a few.
Hell, even I think Paige Van Zandt managed to get a separate Reebok contract even.
Oh yeah, and Stage Northcutt too. A lot of these guys end up doing modeling for them. You know what I'm saying? Connor too. Remember they actually did the modeling of the first fucking fight kits. It was Rory McDonald, that whole card.
Yep.
You got to think they got paid a nice little signing bonus.
I would hope so.
Fuck, man, you got to find some way to get these guys some money, because this, I hate to say it, but this is a fucking young man's game. You got to make your
Boy, is
money,
it
and you got to
ever.
get out of here.
You know, speaking of it being a young man's game, there was a lot of talk. Jose Aldo's next fight has been announced,
Yeah,
against Moicano.
Moicano, yeah.
And it's a co-main event instead of the main event.
He said he was tired of main events.
Yeah, and I heard some of the talk about that being because it's not necessarily the main event slot that he doesn't want. He doesn't want to fight a 5-round fight.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Yeah, because of the wear and tear. You look how many rounds. Luke Thomas talked about it for a while on his show.
Well, who
as
was the
well.
main event of
And
that
I don't
card
just want
now?
to parrot him, but it made a lot of sense when Jose not wanting to put the damage on his body both in a fight camp, preparing for it, and then the sustained number of hits he has to continue to take through 2 more rounds. It's almost a whole nother fight.
But at the same time, you got to look at that guy and you got to say, how can I trust you to fight for a title then and maybe win it and ever fight again?
I don't know if Dana would ever trust him think he's going to win the title again. I mean, he may say that publicly, but
well, I'm
I don't
saying,
think
well,
Jose
no,
Aldo's
I'm just
gonna win
saying
the
because
title
we're
again.
talking. Everyone's making it seem like Max is a motherfucking 155 now.
That is the talk of the town.
Like everyone just makes it seem like he just already made the switch. Like he's pushing back on it, and everyone just makes it seem like, oh, he's 55 now. Like making #1 contender fights with Jose Aldo. Like what the fuck? So Moicano loses to Aldo. There's no chance in hell he ever fights Holloway if he wins.
There's a layer of keef in that bowl, so be warned, it's a cougher. Well, it's going to be an exciting fight either way. I think it favors Aldo a bit as a 3-rounder, honestly.
Think so?
If he's the Aldo of old, he comes out. Like fought Edgar.
Which
comes
goes
out.
back to my point.
You know.
Who the fuck does he fight then after that?
I don't even know. He's gone from talking about playing soccer and retiring to chasing Conor to now he doesn't want to fight a 5-round to he's going to go box. Who knows? But
another big fight in that weight class, though. You see Jeremy Stevens is fighting fucking Zabit Magomedsharipov.
yeah,
It's a big fight.
That's a big fight. That's a tough fight. For
Honestly, it could be a #1
Zabit.
contender fight as well.
I could buy that.
I mean, although Jeremy Stevens has already fought
lost to
Max, I
Aldo.
think. Didn't he lose to Max too?
I do believe.
Yeah.
Prior to the championship.
Yeah.
Of course.
Well, here's
know,
the
I
deal:
like that fight
is
too, though.
45 is kind of running out of rising contenders. Everyone's kind of stuck in the mud right now. They're all there. Don't get me wrong. There's some dogs at
The guy that just
145.
beat Chad Mendez
but-
last weekend.
Volkanovski.
Yeah. Alexander Volkanovski.
But okay, let's say
Beast, dude.
Zabit
18-1,
wins.
19-1. Shit.
Let's say Zabit wins, and let's say that fucking Moicano wins also. Then Volkanovski really doesn't matter.
We've got a little string of contenders there, though, for Holloway. Between those three alone.
What's a bigger win then? What's a bigger win? Volkanovski beating Mendez or Moicano beating Aldo?
I mean, Aldo's resume is obviously better, but Aldo's also a bit older. Of course, we're talking about a guy who just retired.
I was literally just gonna say that.
But he was also off the past 2 years, you know.
Yeah.
Well, Aldo
That's true.
was, you know, he's had a lot of rounds. Aldo's had a lot of rounds.
I don't know, man. A lot of those rounds have been with Chad Mendez.
Yeah, there was a few. 5 of them, wasn't there?
10.
No, he knocked him out in the first round.
Oh, the first time? Was it the first round?
Yeah, he knocked him out with the knee in the first round. And grabbed
So
the
then
fence.
6 rounds.
It's controversial because Mendez went in for a takedown.
Yeah, you grabbed the
He
fence.
grabbed the
and
fence. And then he fucking kneed the shit out of him.
yeah. Shit was rough.
Yeah, the second
And then
fight.
jumped in the crowd and they fucking
Yeah.
carried him out. Like, that shit was
The
intense.
second fight was better from Mendez, but
I thought he won the second fight.
I thought it was a lot closer than it was. I don't remember.
Remember, that's why they kind of
Thinking
gave
he
him the
won,
Conor interim fight, because it was like that Mendez-Aldo second fight was so fucking close. Remember, Aldo was fucked up after that fight.
Yeah, he was fucked up. I do remember him in the press conference or the
He
pictures
was
afterwards.
fucked up, and he got dropped. And he fucking kept hitting Mendez after the bell. Remember, he hit him after the bell like 2 rounds in a row.
And I kind of forgot about that.
That was a great fucking fight. That was one of the best fights.
It just kind of gets brushed in with all of Jose's
All the
great accomplishments.
Well, no, it kind of gets blended in with like Conor too, because
And
it like
Conor,
it was
yeah.
in the middle of all that. Remember, it was like the week before Conor knocks out Dennis Seaver, and then he yelled in Aldo's face, and then he was front row for that fight, and then he was gonna fight the winner, and then of course they do the world tour. Aldo steps out,
right.
Mendez steps in, which puts Mendez back into the narrative, and then so Conor beats him, and then everyone was like more. Because remember, going into the first time Conor and Aldo were gonna fight, everyone was kind of general consensus was like, damn, I just don't see how he beats Aldo. Everyone was kind of like, fuck.
Indeed, yes.
Aldo's gonna fuck him up, and then after he beat Mendez, everyone was like, damn, Conor's actually pretty fucking good. He might actually fuck Aldo up. Of course, he knocks him out with one punch, but it was for a long time, and even to this day, people continue to discredit Conor.
Well, people love to do that just because he's got a loud mouth, but they don't understand what that loud mouth is for. I guess they do what he wants them to do is to get emotional about it, and then tune in to watch him get his ass kicked, like last time.
Yeah, pretty much.
The thing is, he got paid the same amount of money. Connor's got a flat salary when he fights. He didn't lose any money.
I'd like to see that more from fighters.
Yes.
To negotiate a flat rate for
Dear
fights.
God, that's so much better. Just a single purse, win or lose. That's what you
especially at the upper levels. I understand it in like the middle of the pack because then it gives incentive to win big fights. But
yeah, the UFC
maybe
wants
at the top, you should be fighting for flat rates.
Oh, it's such a swing, man. Especially
if you're
the
fighting
lower
on
levels where
if you're fighting in the last 3 fights of the night, you should be fighting for a flat rate. Simple.
If you're fighting for 20 and 20, 20 to show, 20 to win. That's such a humongous difference between the two. Jesus
like
Christ,
I was saying, I was looking before. I was on MMA fighting before this, and I was Bloody Elbow. They had just come out with the UFC Milwaukee numbers. Dude, Kevin Lee got paid $83,000 for that fight.
Was it like 41-5 and 41-5 or something?
No,
was it a flat rate.
It's a flat rate.
Was it? No win bonus. Well,
no, he didn't get it. No, actually, no. It was a win bonus. He would have got a win bonus. I think it was like $23,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
Some weird number. Yeah. But that's another weird one. Is like, how is someone in the main event not making more than $100,000? He just put on a 5-round war. Same thing. I think Al Quinta just broke $100,000.
You know who they had to go sell houses.
You know who was the highest money? You know who was the highest paid fighter of the night? It was
it was Charles Oliveira.
He made $180,000.
Yeah,
that's sad, man. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, good on Charles, but
but how are these commissions having so much more money to pay fighters in boxing? Well, boxers, sorry.
Well, it's just the whole system is set up different.
What I'm saying is the UFC is making.
And you've got the Ali Act, dude. You have the Ali Act. You got promoters bidding
for your
for
fights.
Purses.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? Whereas the UFC is going, we're going to offer you this, and that's what your contract says you're getting, and now you can shut the fuck up and wear your Reebok gear, bitch. I mean, let's be honest. If your name ain't Conor McGregor, that's what they're telling you.
Honestly, though, you also do realize that the UFC is also very open to renegotiations when fighter stocks rise. You cannot deny that. When someone's on a roll,
that does seem to happen.
When someone's on a roll, you put 1 or 2 together, you renegotiate. You might have a 6-fight deal, but who fights out a 6-fight deal? Even Adesanya said it. He goes.
Why would anybody would sign a 6-fight deal is crazy.
I mean, Conor did. Conor just did. He's got 5 more fights to go.
I know. I thought that was nuts. I don't think a fighter should ever sign more than a 2-fight, 3-fight deal at the most. Like, why would you lock yourself into some crazy shit?
So, I mean, in my opinion, every fighter should probably renegotiate after at least 2 wins in a row. Just because your stock rise is so heavy. Like,
it can change.
Think about a guy like Kamaru Usman. Like, he probably renegotiated before that title fight. Think about a guy like Israel Adesanya. Probably fucking renegotiated before that Anderson Silva fight. He did, actually, and he signed a new contract. Conor McGregor renegotiates before the Khabib fight.
Well, he's Conor. I think we can remove him from the conversation.
It doesn't matter. He's just another example, though. You know what I'm saying?
Treatment to the money he brings in. But I hope these guys can do that. Because if not, they shouldn't sign such large contracts. If they can't renegotiate on the regular. Because, I mean, look how many times fucking Nate Diaz tried to renegotiate. He just shut the fuck down. They're like, bye. You know. And
but that's different, though. Because
it's different, but it's just an example.
That's just somebody not knowing their market value.
Yeah, I mean, if they can't renegotiate,
but at the same time, knowing their market value,
I don't think they should sign deals.
That's just him being tough. Yeah,
you know,
no way. More than 3 fights is, but yeah, you can sign that deal, but it's all about the number. It's hitting that benchmark of that number. So yeah, maybe you sign a 6-fight deal worth, I don't know, however much, but you go to that number back when you win 2 fights and you say, dude, I'm worth more than that shit. So now you're going to have to give me another 5 more fights. I'm not going to fight out this contract. You're going to give me a new contract worth 4 fights, and it's going to be that plus another half because I'm worth that much now. And if you want me to ever fight again in the UFC, you're going to give me that much. And a lot of people do that. Nate Diaz tries to do it.
He tries.
I mean,
we haven't seen him around much. But
Conor has done it on multiple occasions.
Ultimately, the problem is since the UFC is a private company, we never see these contracts.
No,
no. We might see something come out in this court case that's ongoing on, but so it's just speculation and scuttlebutt and people who have done some looks into it and done some reporting on what these contracts are like that leads us to be able to
here's
talk
the thing
bit
is,
about this shit.
In business, there's always going to be favorites. People can hate all they want, but it's a business. The people that make the most money are going to get paid the most money.
Ultimately, the thing that would solve all of these issues is if these fighters can somehow get together, unionize, do collective bargaining.
Yep.
The UFC wants to say that they're a major sport. I would say that they're getting pretty damn close. It's time to treat their athletes like other major sports treat their athletes. And I think we
you know what it's going to take? It's going to take a really like...
I think everybody listening could agree on that.
Well, yeah, definitely. It's going to take someone huge. Like,
I know, and MMA is such
to
a
step
selfish
out.
sport.
Maybe someone like Daniel Cormier, who maybe steps away from the sport, and maybe, like...
DC, if he did that, I would like DC. It would change my whole viewpoint. DC
well, it's not... He's kind of a unifying, like, member of... Like, he's a good role model, kind of. Like, he's a good, like, ambassador is what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. He's a good ambassador for the sport. He goes around, he speaks good, he's done great shit. Even Dana said, like, if I ever step away, I'd recommend that they hire Daniel Cormier in my spot.
I remember. Well, hey, let's circle back around before we close out the show today we were going to talk about the upcoming Bellator heavyweight Grand Prix before we dove back into the UFC.
Yeah.
So let's finish up on some Ryan Bader versus Fedor Emelianenko. It's 2 weeks away.
Bader.
You're picking Ryan Bader to be the double champ, so we don't use Conor's trademarked phrase.
The champion.
The champion champ. The champion, the double champ, the dual champ.
The unified
the Bellator light heavyweight and heavyweight champ. So you think he's going to beat Fedor? Do you think he's going to take him down and wrestle him? Or do you think he's going to take him out on the feet?
No. I think it's going to be a boring fight, honestly. I don't think anyone's getting pounded. I think it's going to be Bader's just going to attempt to take him down. It's going to be kind of a grappling like struggle. But Bader's going to eventually get the best of him. There's not going to be much damage done to either guy. I think it's going to be a pretty boring fight, to be honest, because I think, or I could see Bader it being very boring in the first 2 rounds, and then Bader just puts him away in the third because Fedor's fatigued.
I think Fedor's going to come out and he's going to unload on Ryan. He's going to get the KO win.
Think so? Yeah. That could also very, 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 very well happen. But I think if Bader wins, it's going to be boring. Not even. I think
he's Bader victory. If Ryan wins, it's going to be boring.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could agree.
Very similar to the Matt Mitrione fight.
Yeah.
It's pretty boring.
I think Fedor is going to come out. He's going to do to Bader like he did to Frank Mir. I'm not going to fuck out.
Nah.
He's going to ride off into the sunset.
He's not going to ride off into the sunset.
The curtain's going to fucking close, and he will shut the door on
He's
the
going to fight Mark Hunt.
Mark motherfucking Hunt. You think so? You think he's going to go over to Bellator? Fight the
honestly, I think that'd be a big fight for
Dude, actually, I'm down with that. Let's make that happen. Let's make that happen, Bellator.
Yeah, fuck.
Even if Ryan Bader wins, I want to see Mark Hunt versus Emelianenko.
Word on the street is Ryan Bader and Chael's next.
At light heavyweight, I presume?
At light heavyweight.
Or at heavyweight. Chael said he liked heavy, but he could still make light heavyweight.
Yeah, Chael said it, and Scott Coker kind of agreed. He was like saying that if you think about it in the light heavyweight division, he's pretty much the number 1 contender.
Interesting. I wish Bellator did rankings. Even some
I think they do. It's just not.
No, I was looking into it. I mean, there you'll find writers and other sources that rank Bellator fighters, but Bellator has no official rankings at all.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Strange.
Yeah. It's a bummer. Hopefully they'll implement sometime.
Yeah, that'd be dope. But that's not the only big Bellator fight coming up as well. Then we have Paul Daly versus Michael Venom Page in February. I mean, it's kind of far away.
Yeah, but still.
But it's just one of those ones that you got to mention.
Ooh, who are you liking that?
I'm so back and forth with it because they're
both dynamic.
Yeah. It's going to be nuts. I guess I'll take Michael Venom Page to keep it moving. I'd like to see Michael Venom Page make it to the final.
I would too. I got to go with the same just now,
I'd like to see Michael Venom Page make it to the final, then go to the UFC.
Oh my God, that'd be awesome.
You think he's too late in his career to go to the UFC now?
Nah.
What is he, 31?
I'm not certain.
Oh, okay. I think he is about like 31.
I'd be talking out of my ass if I attempted to say he was any age. I don't know. I know he's not young.
Yeah, I feel you.
He's not a young man.
I remember so many people wanted him to come to the UFC, and they let him slip to Bellator.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, if he wins out, that'd be awesome.
That'd be sick, yeah.
It'd be great to see him in the UFC.
Mm-hmm.
Man, we got some exciting shit on the horizon. Good fights coming up. Hopefully, we get good news in January, here the end of this month with Khabib and with Conor, and when they can fight
with Jon
again.
Jones.
And with Jon Jones getting licensed, then hopefully we'll see that fight that we were talking about at the beginning of the show.
You think if Jones doesn't get it, you think that they move the card again?
No, I think they just bump his fight to another card. They've done satiated the fans. They got Jones in. He's the champ. They won't.
Yeah, but I'm saying so far out. Because if it was, we're at the end of January. If you moved a fight from the end of January, like, that's in March, it's not that big of a deal.
I don't think
it matters when it's a week away. Licensed. Yeah, that's true.
People are making that whole thing into a big deal because it's Jon Jones. I don't hear them making a big deal about that other guy that Nowitzki mentioned, whose name escapes me at the moment.
Ooh.
But also had the pulsing turinabol in his system and didn't get sanctioned or fined. But anyways, there's no conspiracy.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who to believe anymore.
I don't believe the fact that if it was some rinky-dink lab, it would be one thing. We're talking about the United States Anti-Doping Agency, which is in control of all the major sports organizations and the Olympic and world doping. They're not going to risk their reputation because Jon Jones wanted a fucking fight. Because Dana White was like, I'll give you $1 million or $20 million.
Yeah.
No, none of that happened. None of that shit didn't go down. They don't give a flying rat's ass about Jon fucking Jones. Yeah. They don't. And for it to go down like people are thinking, like there's this great, like, oh, all these scientists are lying and Dana slipped the money and Nowitzki's... Dude, just think. It's insane. It is what it is. You have to trust the experts at some point. It's fun to hate on Jones. He does lots of other shit you can clown his ass on. Yeah. But I wish people like DC would... I mean, I get it. I don't know. I can't tell if he's saying this shit to just keep it going in the media to build
DC
a fight.
is just just a fucking mentality of, like, them being enemies. It has nothing to do with anything going on. It's just, like, fueled by, I don't fucking like you.
And okay, you got Bisping. He came out and he also said, well, if you had never taken turinabol, it wouldn't be in your system. And that's the problem nobody's talking about. And then a couple other people echoed that. And I find that to be annoying because if you listen to John, he's saying he never took the steroid. So obviously it came from something contaminated and they can't prove it. Yeah. Like, so he's either lying or he's telling the truth.
That's where the gray area is.
I know it's a gray area, but it's
that's where people are going to hate because people need to hate because they need a reason why he's as good as he is.
But then who do we turn to, right? We turn to USADA. And what do they say? They say the same fucking thing. They say, we don't think he cheated. Everything was retro. It was a fucking goddamn dick pill the first time. And then this time we don't think he cheated. We think it was contaminated. Their head scientist came out and said it. Like, who else is supposed to come in and tell us what to think? And just because DC doesn't like that, he's like, oh, I don't like that. So
yeah, but
fuck that. It's a lie.
Yeah,
that's why I get annoyed. It's because we don't like it.
I feel you.
And then when it's somebody else that says, oh, I didn't do it. It was a contaminated supplement. They go, oh, I believe you because why? I like you. I think we're supposed to take that fucking
Yeah, but they also have proof and it's able to be tested. That's the only problem. It's like, yeah, that's where the gray area is, man. Like, that's what's up for interpretation. Is like, yeah, you can say all those people that it doesn't matter if they like them or not, but they had samples that they could then go back and test as well.
Where's the media hounding Anderson Silva right now? He's fighting in the co-main event against Israel Adesanya he's just been told it's a title fight. He's coming off of a drug failure for a steroid. His second defense as well. Where's the uproar from Daniel Cormier?
Yeah, I feel you.
I mean, he's not even in Jon Jones's fucking weight class now, so don't tell me it's just because they're in the same weight. No, where's the media hounding it down? Where's everybody saying cheater shouldn't be allowed to fight?
Well, there kind of is.
That's fucking Michael Bisping shit.
I was going to say, Michael Bisping, yeah, he talks a lot of shit about Anderson Silva.
Well, at least there's somebody sticking to their guns. I mean, and it's I just feel like if it's this horrible thing, why is it just Jon Jones that we're all like suddenly...
It's because
nobody's talking about Anderson Silva shouldn't be allowed to fight.
It's because ever since that fucking car crash,
but it only keeps happening because the testing's gotten so good.
No. I mean his problems. Ever since that car crash, there's just been more and more and more. And how can you trust somebody that many fucking things have happened to him in the last 5 fucking years?
Isn't that why we don't trust Jon Jones? Why we say we go to the experts for what they say? And if they had said he was cheating, would everybody be saying they were liars?
Here's the problem. Is a lot of the experts are saying we don't think he was cheating, but we don't know.
But the science leads us to say that we don't think.
That's the problem, though. Is it doesn't, because if you look at the science right now,
it's the metabolites from based off of the fucking...
but it's based off one clinical trial. There's only ever been one clinical trial ever done on this oral tramadol thing, and it was done.
I'm familiar with all of that,
and it was done for 48 days. We're talking something that now is 2 years. There's no...
They're saying it could stay in the shit up to 7.
Of course, yeah, of course. And I understand that. I understand that. I understand that, but what I'm saying is there's just so much gray area because there's just so little experimental shit done because it's illegal for human consumption. That's where the gray area is. You know what I'm saying?
No, you're right. 100%.
I completely agree with you. I hate that there's this stigma because it's also a big fact of nobody fucking knows.
You know also that
there's just not been enough. There's just not been enough.
Nobody's asking these labs to test down to those levels. You know the minimums they're supposed to be testing for is 2 nanoliters or whatever. It's 2 nano something. I think it's nanoliters.
Yeah. Well, USADA tests for anything, any trace amounts at all.
Like WADA accredited labs test for 2 nano. Like Jon Jones isn't pissing hot on any of those tests.
Yeah, but it's
ever.
Yeah, but you got to think USADA's at the forefront, so they're constantly trying new shit.
Which I do believe is why they're looking at redefining those minimums, but the problem is they only redefine them, I think, in 2021 when they have their big conference.
Yeah,
which is another thing Nowitzki was talking about.
Yeah, but here's the thing: there's got to be something looked into that because, yes, there should be nothing in your system, but there should be maybe you still sanction the athlete, but at the same time, I think it should be much less than your just broad spectrum suspensions right now. You know, it's like first offense is what, like 12 months, second is 18, third is 4 years.
They get 6 months just because they bought a supplement at GNC that they got something in it and the USADA proved it was in there. They still get a 6-month suspension for that.
Yeah, for not being fucking smart and taking the right shit.
Or they can just go to Bellator or Risen or PFL or any of these others that aren't doing any of this nonsense. I think
it's not necessarily nonsense, though.
I think it's going.
It's legitimizing. It's legitimizing.
Is it? They're testing way more than any other sport. The NFL doesn't test like that.
Oh, no. That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
NHL doesn't test like that.
I think they need to test to the levels of those sports.
They don't test to any of that shit. You know why? You know why they don't? Because the NFL doesn't want these kind of fucking problems that are happening right now with Jon Jones.
They want to catch the people that are really cheating. They don't want that
fucking nonsense.
Yeah. I feel you. That's how there needed to be better set, measurements and rules around their testing, but I'm glad that there finally is testing, is what I'm saying. Because for a second there, in those mid-2000s, things were getting real muddy, man.
Or like the TRT Vitor days.
Things were getting real muddy there, dude, for a second.
Yeah, there's some guys you can't deny, and Vitor Belfort is always
even real early too. Real early, there's some fucking strange motherfucking people. Yeah. Like Mark Coleman, get the fuck out of here. You see him when he came back though, when he wasn't juicing anymore, and he fought Couture like in his final fight. He got fucking stomped out, dude. Because
look at Overeem more recently. Look at Overeem versus Brock Lesnar, and look at Overeem in his last fight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that you're right. There's been improvements that might be anecdotal and eye test based, fucking, but I think they're almost irrefutable.
Look at Hector Lombard, dude. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Hector Lombard
another prime example.
was a fucking Greek statue when he was in Bellator, dude.
I know. Then he winds up
in UFC and he fucking
all the way down to 170 at one point. Yeah.
Yep. Didn't he get caught for juice in the UFC also?
Yeah, he popped for something too. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know, man.
Crazy times in the MMA world, at least in the UFC. Crazy, crazy stuff. We're gonna.
This is what I was going back to though on ESPN though. ESPN will run those fucking stories.
They sure will.
They will run with those motherfuckers.
These things that have been limited to MMA journalist websites might very well find themselves blasted across the airwaves at ESPN.
And what people don't realize is ESPN is the catalyst for sports news. Yep. So maybe, some breaking news on ESPN happens, then some guy from Yahoo picks it up and goes, hey, that's a big story. Some guy from ESPN's reporting on it. We should go out there and report on it too. You know what I'm saying? And then it creates a media frenzy around all of these fighters, and all of them need to be ready for it because this is all super, super possible.
I'm betting behind the scenes the UFC is letting some people know.
Yeah, they need to. Well, you know what they need to do? They need to do something very similar. This all goes back to a union. This literally all goes back to a union.
Yeah, they want to implement a code of conduct, but you notice they
not even a code of conduct. Thinking about in the NFL how they have the rookie symposium. Symposium. I don't know what the fuck the word is. Sorry.
They were doing those for a minute. Remember they had the big meeting here in Vegas for all the fighters. WMA
yeah, but then fucking there was 3 fights during it. Mike Perry almost fought fucking some other fool. Mike Perry's girlfriend almost got into a fight, dude.
Cyborg punched that.
Cyborg punched that one chick for calling her a man or something like that.
Yeah. Crazy stuff, man. But you're right. It's going to be a fun time.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to get to talk about a lot of cool shit. I think that about brings the show to a close today. Thank everybody on WBUZ 95 for tuning in. Of course, you can catch our show on there at 8 p.m. on Thursdays. That's Central Time. Be 6 p.m. on the Pacific, 9 p.m. on the East Coast. Find it on radio.net or the Orange Radio app. We are, of course, on iTunes. We got video on YouTube. We're on all the other podcast outlets.
Like, subscribe.
Please, you'll find us on Instagram.
Drop a comment down there.
Everything's at SWATMMA.com, including our new line of shirts that we've been working on.
Yeah,
if you like the podcast, you want to check out the shirts, just go to SWATMMA.com.
We got some new designs coming up as well.
Yep, we got new designs for the New Year's. We got our podcast logo plus some other ones available right now. Hoodies, more stuff coming.
Definitely.
Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We're going to get back to this skunkberry. We'll see you on the next episode. Peace.
Later.